Hey YouTube, just been meaning to do this for a while and do a review on the Ruger American in 7.62 by 39. I've had the rifle for about a year now and had a lot of chance to put a lot of rounds through it and kind of develop, I think, a pretty good opinion of what I think of the rifle. So I'm gonna make a list to kind of keep myself on track. So benefits of the rifle, for a pretty good price, you get a rifle that has an excellent barrel. They're cold hammer forged. They come threaded, which might not be that big a deal to some people, but pretty much everything I shoot suppressed. So having a rifle that's already threaded saves me, you know, $100 to $150 depending on who you send it to get threaded. And you know, it can take as much as 2 months of time. Usually I do my own threading, but I don't have access to a lathe all the time. It's only when I go home to visit my parents that I have a chance to use my dad's equipment and can do that kind of work. So having a good barrel that's threaded, that's nice for me. The accuracy for the 7.62 by 39 is actually pretty good. You know, most of the time it's not a caliber that touts accuracy, and that's one of the selling points that a lot of people have brought up with them. The accuracy is pretty good. I got a target here just as an example. So that's the typical groups I get out of Tula. That's right at 1.25 inches, and it'll do that all day, every day. Every time I take it out and I shoot Tula through it, that's the kind of accuracy that I get. This is some reloads that I did with 308 Spear projectiles. That's a 3-shot group at 100 yards. That's 1/2 inch group right there. That's what I got with the Hornady, and I called this flyer. So if I hadn't pulled the trigger on that shot and it was also extremely windy that day, that would have been right on par with the Spear. These were 130 grain, those were 110 grain bullets. So the rifle is certainly capable of some pretty decent accuracy. I think part of that also comes with they have a pretty good trigger. I've done a little bit of work to mine. Basically all I did was change the spring, and other people have talked about doing that as well. And that takes it from being a decent trigger to a pretty good trigger, and that's not spending any more money. I basically took a spring that I had sitting around the house and dropped it in there, and it took it from good to pretty good. The rifles are easily available. If you want the 7.62 by 39, a lot of times you have to order that online. I ended up, because none of the dealers around me could get one, I ended up getting it off of Gunbroker and just having it shipped in. So that introduced a little bit of extra cost, but that's what I wanted, so I didn't mind paying it. Some of the drawbacks on the rifle, the stocks are pretty flimsy, so you put a bipod on them and they start to flex a lot. For me, because I epoxied the front of the stock and stiffened that up, I actually see the flex here. So if I'm at the range and I have this on a bipod and I start to kind of drive into the rifle to try and get more accuracy, I see a lot of flex in this region. With that being said, it still shoots very accurately for having kind of a chintzy, cheap stock. And I think a lot of that has to do with the V-bed pillars on these are repeatable. As long as you torque to the same, you know, inch-pounds each time, they're repeatable and they're consistent. So the only other drawback that I can think of is the magwells. Ruger didn't really seem to, I don't know, do their development work on it, because I had a lot of feeding issues with mine. That's why I converted mine to take AK magazines, and I provide that service for people. Some people hate the idea, think it's stupid. Some people love it and are willing to pay for it because they obviously have either had a problem or they recognize the benefit of being able to use magazines that they have for other rifles. But this isn't unique to just the 7.62 by 39. You can see people with the 350 Legend, with the 450 Bushmaster, with the 6.5 Grendels. They have issues. So that would probably be the other major drawback of things that I've seen where people had issues. So for a rifle that retails usually for anywhere from $450 to $550, you're going to have some drawbacks, but it still shoots excellently. They're a very affordable rifle that you can get pretty much any firearm store, any Cabela's, Bass Pro, Shields. You're going to be able to walk in, get a rifle for $500-600 that you put a decent scope on. You can take out and just beat the snot out of it and not feel bad. It's going to shoot well. So it's a good rifle for what it is. Could it use some improvements? Sure. But I'll tell you what, I've had a lot more expensive rifles that I sold because, if I'm dropping $800-900, $1,200 on a rifle and it has a crappy trigger and shoots mediocre groups, I don't think that's acceptable in today's day and age with being able to get a good rifle that shoots well for much less. So overall, I think Ruger did a good job on these rifles. I enjoy shooting them. I've got a lot of family that they have them in different calibers and everyone reports good results with them. I've got family with 308s, 6.5 Creedmoor. My father-in-law's got one in a Magnum caliber, but I think his isn't the American series. I think it's the next series out. But regardless, Ruger's rifles tend to shoot. So they're doing something right with their barrels. Their triggers are decent. I think for the money, it's a good setup. You can set it up, have fun, not break the bank doing it. So that's my review on it. I was hoping to have some shooting video, but the video that I collected when I was on vacation had some issues, so I wasn't able to pull from it. But if you guys have any questions, just reach out. I don't mind answering questions. But anyway, have a good night. Hope you all had a Happy New Year. Take care.